Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here, ladies and gentlemen, the Alliance. So, yeah, my name is Dmitry, and I'm from cybersecurity. Let me start with this. I used to work as the security researcher and white hat hacker for quite some time. Right now, I am Chief Technology Officer at SecurityGen, and I hope that today I will brief you through a couple of topics that maybe you are not fully aware of as of now, but you will be when I finish. So, last year, the important thing has happened to the cybersecurity industry. The global workforce has reached its all-time high of 4.7 million professionals. And this is a big number, but I imagine it's hard for you to estimate if it is actually enough cybersecurity professionals or not enough. I say it's not enough. And once again, according to the survey, it seems like there is still a lack of at least 70% more. And I think we can easily explain this because the cyber threats are always evolving. This creates the huge demand on the market. And as the result of the lack of education-specific trainings, we see the shortage of skilled professionals, and we also observe the challenge of increasing skill gap. In our industry, we call the skill gap the situation when we have many professionals. They're kind of educated, but still they lack a wide range of skills required in order to counter, let's say, up-to-the-date cybersecurity threats. So at SecurityGen, usually we provide our telecom customers with security solutions, testing tools. And today I will tell you a story about 5G Cybersecurity Lab, which is our latest addition to the portfolio. This is the test environment, the training environment that we have created in order to support our telecom clients, specifically to address the shortage of cybersecurity skilled professionals and minimize this gap of cybersecurity that we observe in 5G. Why it is important? I think it's obvious, but I will repeat once again that telecoms are incredibly high-value target for hackers. Telecoms represent critical national infrastructure. They serve tens of millions of subscribers. They process and possess a lot of the data, and sometimes they're even the key to the digital identity of their clients. And this all makes it incredibly important for the security teams within telecoms to be, let's say, up to date, equipped with the knowledge, with experience to address all of these challenges. Unfortunately, even with tons of papers dedicated to the 5G cybersecurity, embedded security functionality, and so on, still the system itself is so complex that there are a bunch of vulnerabilities, protocol deficiencies, big space for misconfigurations. So it's really hard for security guys to, let's say, catch up and keep the pace of the technology evolution. And how do they address all of these challenges when they always try to make things working on the go? Because the network can be already in construction, the rollout is happening, and they try to address cybersecurity challenges on the go. We feel that education and hands-on training can be of a big support for these teams. Because, for instance, in IT and enterprise, today, even medium-sized companies, they have labs, which is a special environment which you can use for your personal, for training, for different solutions, to challenge, to test from multiple angles before going to production. Surprisingly, but this is something that majority of the MNOs today do not have. So with this challenge in mind, we decided to introduce 5G Cybersecurity Lab, which is a complete network lab, but small, still equipped with all the meaningful pieces inside. And it is, let's say, almost a turnkey solution to the reasonable extent that it should be also flexible in order to help to be, let's say, customized for the specific customer needs. It can be quite generic in its nature, and it can be quite purpose-built, like in the case that I will show to you in the next slide. You can compare this lab to the traditional labs created by big vendors for MNOs, with a major difference that this one is simple and represents the bare minimum that you will probably need to jumpstart with cybersecurity exercises. Under the hood, it is constructed with a quite affordable and easy-to-get hardware, a bunch of open-source projects for the network functions, for the virtualization plane, and so on. And we use software-defined radio on the edge for the flexible wireless part. And to top it all, we equip our lab with 5G security testing tools. As for the end user, the lab can be accessed in two ways, let's say simple way and advanced mode. In a simple way, it is graphical user interface to make the security analysis. In advanced mode, this is the command line, which provides you direct access to all the network functions. You can switch it on, off, remove, change the way the network looks like and behaves according to, let's say, your tasks. So this is quite a comprehensive system, which we hope will support telecom security teams, and maybe not only, to study the telecom technology and explore different aspects of 5G cybersecurity. We also understand that for organizations, it's important in the way how you deliver such products. So we try to make it as flexible as possible. We have at least 3 options. Number one, and the most obvious, is in the form of platform, when the entire lab is hosted in customer premises and fully operational and managed by customer personnel. In this case, you can integrate it with all the systems you have inside. The second option is in form of managed services. Still, the lab is located in client's data center, but configuration and tests performed by the client's engineers and supported by our experts. In this scenario, we can create new use cases. We can test multiple security requirements, try mitigation techniques all together, which is beneficial because we, let's say, we complement to the overall knowledge of the client security team. And the most lightweight option, software as a service. In this case, the lab is completely located in our data center, and represents almost no network hassle for the clients, but still quite a lot of cybersecurity practical experience with telecom context. The good thing is that all of these options of delivery cover the basic use cases of the lab. First of all, you get the hands-on experience in 5G and cybersecurity. Number two, you can test hackability and estimate what would be the impact. Ask any CISO and they will say that it's critical to have information what would be the impact on the real business processes. With this information at hand, you can actually easily estimate what's the appropriate and efficient measure to be placed in the real network. Number three, you can develop and test best practices security controls and get ready to scale it out to the real networks, to all of your subsidiaries, to multiple virtualized cores and so on. And number four, also important, one day you will have the real incident and you'll probably would like to try and understand it better. So you can replicate the incident in the lab to have the full cycle of the attack in front of you. So you can actually study it more precisely, including stages like response and remediation, which is also critical. Actually, these use cases can be, the list can be completed by yourself. Because, as I said, it can be quite generic and doesn't have to be from the cybersecurity space. You can use the same environment to simulate campus, private networks. You can add things like network exposure function to try whichever APIs come to your mind. You can even connect it to the public cloud, why not, to the Azure 5G private core. You can give it a try. From business point of view, right now, we have a couple of telecom customers / partners, I would say, who utilize this lab exactly the way I described before. And we also tried with some universities to propose the training for the college graduates. These are just the very first steps we take, but we see the opportunity because, for instance, the survey conducted by Information Security System Association, about 70% of organizations were impacted by the shortage of skilled cybersecurity professionals, and almost half of the same organizations, they state that the situation has actually worsened over the past few years. So we see that as an opportunity, given the fact that cybersecurity training market is actually growing faster in terms of the pace compared to the IT and security market in general, and based on different numbers valued at $10 to $13 billion right now, we think that this is the interesting area to explore and dig deeper. Keeping in mind that it's not only limited to telcos. We think that this type of the environment should be also useful for enterprises who would decide to give a try with 5G, for certification labs, and we have collected a couple of requests already, and we're in process of conversation to settle it. Maybe e-education platforms, specifically those that provide engineering courses online, maybe governmental bodies, we'll see. Right now, what's important is that we have made some journey already, and the next step would be to understand who would be the next users to come, because these guys would probably heavily influence the direction in which the solution will develop further. From our side, at SecurityGen, we committed to continue to update and upgrade the system in order to keep the pace of the technological changes, to make it up to the date. And to wrap it up, I would say that obviously the need to address the cybersecurity skill shortage is obvious, and we feel that it is a critical moment in time when we can support telecom industry going through these continuous transformations for many years already. Because with such small things as the lab, security testing tool, protection measures, we can step by step create comprehensive infrastructure not only for education and training, but also for implementation in real life. And thus, we will, let's say, facilitate and foster strong cybersecurity culture. And I truly believe that inevitably this will lead to organizations to be more prepared and be able to proactively address evolving threats and vulnerabilities. I hope that this will also influence in a nice manner the quality and the security of digital services. So that's it. This was my story about 5G Cybersecurity Lab. It's live, it's available, and we are actually welcoming early adopters to jumpstart and try some practical cybersecurity in 5G space. That's it. Thank you very much.
Over to the lines then. Any questions?
I will pretend that you are being a gentleman and and not to think that you're giving me the micro because you don't have any question. Instead of questions, I have sort of a compliment. I think it's very positive that such a subject is being is receiving this much attention. If there is something that really can shut down a mobile operation, is an attack, and we have seen that. So when we see that some new ideas and effort are being put on cybersecurity, I don't have any questions. My only comment is thank you, and we would like to know how to use your solution as a mobile operator.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Is this?
Oh, you might want to use it, so. Okay.
Is this something? I don't know if you've seen the presentation from T-Mobile.
Absolutely, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, glad. Is what you're proposing complementing what T-Mobile is doing, or is competing?
I think should be complementing, because, as my colleague from T-Mobile said, in order to participate in the environment, you should have already the 5G standalone in the lab or in the real production. So this is exactly what you can bring to the table when you're starting this exercise. So why not I think in cybersecurity, pretty much everything is complementing. It's such a niche area that we do compete, and we compete a lot, but it all makes us even stronger and better. So this is exactly what we need. Because at the end of the day, we compete with hackers. So it's good to have multiple choices.
Okay, and I have two questions, please. The first one, from the operator side, what are the infrastructure and critical components needed to integrate with your lab or the solution you are presenting? The second question, can you give us an example of what kind of risks and weaknesses that the lab can detect, and how can we solve it?
First of all, in terms of the infrastructure, the 5G cybersecurity lab itself is actually a small network. It's equipped with all the core components, the management, quite simple orchestration, radio part. We can even put inside the IMS so you can test VoLTE or voice over new radio. It's good that today, having quite cheap hardware and a lot of the open source, you can actually create such environment, and you don't need to give a call to the big vendor who will probably propose too much costly solution. So in terms of the integration, pretty much to jumpstart, you need nothing. You just need to actually call us and try to utilize this. If you would like to actually integrate it with your network, existing network, for instance, you can play the scenario when this lab will be the standalone core integrated with your Evolved Packet Core, for instance. In this case, you will pretty much mimic the usual situation of two networks running in parallel when both 4G and 5G services provided. If you would like to integrate it with some third-party services, like to test the APIs, actually there are also solutions available for the network exposure function. So you can try to play different quality parameters. You can open up API to give it a try to the, let's say, third-party systems, probably about IoT something, right? So this is how it works. But once again, given the fact that it's simple lab, customizable, we just need to speak a little bit more with you in order to understand what's the use case you try to actually to execute. And probably we will find the solution. Because it's quite new, and of course it's not covering the all possible, let's say, scenarios. But it's quite, let's say, easy to develop. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for a very clear presentation. Just to reiterate, I think the fact that you are both simple and advanced is really powerful in the sense that it's easy to get going, and it not only you can do the trials in real life, as you were saying, but it also helps upskill employees. So I think it's really a multifunctional purpose if you understand how to use it. Timing is right, isn't it? So the timing is right. The uniqueness, what would you say there? Do you have competitors out there doing this?
If you allow me, first I would comment about the timing. It's to some extent it's right, but also it's a little bit late because we started this initiative quite some time ago when we received the first request for the protection ideas for the 5G networks from our South Korean customers, for instance. And we had very limited understanding how 5G looks like and how it works internally. So we started to create this lab, first of all, in order to train our experts better understand the set of technologies. And right now what we see is that for security guys, they are catching up with the process of the rollout. The networks are out there, even if majority of them are not really standalone, but still, the set of technologies is all there, and it's pretty much exposed. So security teams, they have very limited window of time to react to this. Right now, a lot of, unfortunately, simply sitting and waiting for the moment to be attacked. So I would say that timing is good, at least the battle is not yet lost, but it's better to, let's say, speed up a little bit. In terms of the competition, well, in cybersecurity space, we have a lot of so-called, it's not digital twin, but these are the cyber drills platform which help to mimic some kind of the live environment where you can put the production system inside and then invite hackers from across the globe to challenge it. This is pretty much the same idea, simply in the telecom niche. So, like Hack in the Box and different platforms, there are a lot of systems which propose similar solutions, but for enterprise networks. What we did, we simply created this for the telecoms. And I believe pretty much Deutsche Telekom can also extend, let's say, their solution to this space. Once again, why not? More solutions, more competition. The stronger the solution and more benefits for the end users, right? So.
And the value for the MNO would be not to be hacked, of course, but also the training part.
Yes. But actually, the not being hacked is the result of being trained first, because if you understand the security business priorities and you can put the security as the real support for the business initiatives, and you know exactly what to do, and you not simply put the obstacle in front of the rollout, but you have the reasonable explanation why such different things should be executed in slightly different manner, CISOs, they can be, let's say, more welcome to the board, to the network departments to explain which are the exact steps, which may have very minor, let's say, configuration impact, but will have the dramatic result on the overall cybersecurity posture.
And the business model for you, you had three different options, I think.
Yes.
And it's all from CapEx to subscription.
If it is platform, we simply make the construction, then we provide support, maintenance, and hand-holding, for instance. If it is a managed service, we provide this expert support. In the case of software as a service, this is the subscription model. It's quite simple.
And proof of concepts, how mature is this?
Sorry,
you maybe have mentioned how mature is it? Do you have any
maybe I'm missing
proof
the
of
question.
concepts, customers? What is the maturity in terms of being in the market?
Well, right now we have a couple of customers who are using this. They're using this exactly in order to train the internal cybersecurity teams, because with the situation, what's happening globally is that in most of the cases, security guys who are responsible for the telecom crown jewels today, they used to be from the enterprise space. So they have decades of experience, very good, let's say, pedigree and track record, but they need a little bit more deep knowledge of the telecom sphere. So this is exactly what we propose to them. We help them, we train them, and then they simply continue to operate with this as, once again, in enterprise, a live testing environment, every time you would like to test SAP solution, put it inside, try to set up basic roaming, and then challenge it. If you would be satisfied with security level, you're free to go. If not, maybe you will suggest some fixes to your vendor before you actually pay to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How can you ensure that you have the most up-to-date list of real-world incidents? Because these are not always known. Operators, suppliers are not very happy to share that they had an attack.
This is true. This is true. But one of the part of our, let's say, business activities, we conduct a lot of offensive testing during the year. For instance, last year, if I'm not mistaken, we conducted about 98 security audits for different mobile networks. And this is where our experts, acting as hackers, posing themselves as bad guys, we challenge the network, we hack it, we infiltrate, we continue lateral movement inside the network. And this is how we collect knowledge about, let's say, real-life weaknesses. All this we put into the knowledge base of our security solutions, we put into the knowledge base to replicate the use cases in the lab. And this is exactly what we share with the security teams. So in this case, maybe the security incident isn't exactly what was initiated by the hacker, but we are the same type of the hacker, simply with a white hat. So we show how the system can be compromised, and we train security teams how to respond and remediate after such an event.
Are you covering all the domains, telecom domains, or specific domains?
It's pretty much the core itself, so it's the control plane, it's the management plane, data is obviously included, and all the subsequent services, like I said, the IMS you would like to connect and so on. It's extendable, let's say. As a lab, we propose at least basics in order to start with something, because right now, for security teams, even to see the real 5G or standalone network is, let's say, big luck. So we propose the basics, and then we see how to, let's say, upscale it, add additional building blocks to be more like a real life looking.
You mentioned that there are 3 models for the operators to make use of the solution. I have another question, please. Are you offering training opportunities for the operators without having the solution for the cybersecurity guys to train them on how they can manage the function without taking the solution from you?
Sure. Yes, we do training. It's not like the usual activity for us, but sometimes we are invited actually to train security operations center personnel and so on. Exactly. We do organize some kind of the cyber drills, for instance. Once again, when we play the role of the red team, we try to hack the network, expecting the blue team on the other side to react, or at least to identify our activities. And in this case, it is a well-planned scenario, and this helps to actually personnel to train and to better understand what are the attackers' tactics and techniques. So we do training, but we prefer to make it more like a real life and actionable, not to simply go through the books. Thank you for your questions.
Any questions from the audience? I thought Jordy's hand go up.
Yeah, it was answered already. So
Okay.
in the end, I wanted to understand if two things actually. If you were actually, thank you. If you were actually in the end offering hacking professional services, so that the operators could become more secure, and you give two different solutions, right? Either replicating to some extent the core of the operator, or giving us the operators a platform for us to do it ourselves and use your, let's say, battery of pen testing or this type of list of hacking different options that your team were having. I understood this is the case, right?
Exactly. And it depends on where you feel like your weak spot. We can simply have a conversation, and wherever you feel like uncomfortable and think like this is maybe the blind spot for you, maybe it's not that not yet there, but we can propose how to optimize it for, let's say, your tasks.
Yeah, understood. Yeah,
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yes, can I make
Of course, please,
an additional question? If I have to introduce your service to our head of cybersecurity, what can I say to grab his attention? How do you differentiate from what probably he has already seen or received from other players in the industry?
You know, in cybersecurity, most of the professionals, they follow the so-called NIST cybersecurity framework, which consists of the 5 pillars. You need to know exactly your assets, your crown jewels, your business process. This is something that you protect. Then you need to implement efficient protection, which wouldn't be too much costly, but efficient enough. Then you need to be able to detect if someone is trying to hack your assets. Then you need to have a plan how you respond in case of the incident. And then there are non-hackable systems, so you need to have a plan how you remediate after the incident. For the most of cybersecurity professionals, it's a very big challenge even to introduce protection to the telecom domain, because telecom domain was always the responsibility of the network department. It's always about 5 nines, 6 nines with 5G, and it's mainly about the redundancy and all that stuff. When it comes to the cybersecurity, sometimes it's even challenging to explain that the network can be hacked. In this case, well, if you have the ability to protect and you have the ability to detect what's happening in the network, maybe in telecom domain, we switched pillars number 2 and number 3. So for security guys, it will be already a comfortable zone if they will at least study how to have visibility over the crown jewels of telecom domain. Probably right now, your CISO doesn't have good visibility in his security operations center. What's happening with all of these HLRs, VLRs, IMS domain, and so on? We can help him to bring this.
Is there any other feedback from the Lions? Any other questions from the audience? Anneli.
I just wanted to summarize again. I think simple and advanced and crash course and real life trial. And I think that for me summarizes
pretty much
the availability.
You're much better marketing person than I, so.
My head is reeling a little bit. I'm a bit confused because in the morning we had a hackathon session, and now we're having the Innovators session. And your submission for the Innovators session is running your own hackathons for cybersecurity. So it's.
I think so. Yeah.
No, I'm just joking, but thank
Yeah.
you very much. Well presented.